This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
Good evening to you. Right now at 7 o'clock, heartbreak for a lot of racing fans, but a decision appreciated by leaders and community members.
There will now be no fans attending this year's running of the Indianapolis 500 race as the COVID-19 pandemic continues.
The race was delayed in August due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but over the past months, the fan capacity was reduced and now is down to 0 for the big day.
The Indianapolis Motor Speedway released a statement saying it was a tough decision, but looking at the growth in COVID-19 trends, it was the only decision that would put the public's health first. Governor Eric Holcomb released a statement which says, quote, "Throughout this unprecedented process, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway has always prioritized the safety of the fans. I am grateful for Roger Penske's leadership and his entire team for thoughtfully approaching this decision with transparency and collaboration. I want to encourage Hoosiers to continue to social distance, wear masks, and take precautions so we can continue to slow the spread of COVID-19 and hear the roar of the engines at the track next May."
National health officials are warning that if Americans don't follow social distancing guidelines, the spread of the coronavirus will likely get worse. Here in Indiana, the State Department of Health is reporting an additional 836 cases of coronavirus and 14 additional deaths that took place between last Wednesday and Monday. The state's 7-day positivity rate is down 1 percentage point to 7.3.
Checking in now, Storm Team 6 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory. And Kevin, it felt a little bit more like fall today than August.
And wait till tomorrow morning. I won't say it'll feel like winter. I'm not saying you need to dress in layers, but we'll have close to record temperatures. How about this? 71, that's our temperature, and then flip the numbers. There's 17 for our wind speed out of the north-northwest, and the humidity levels just dropped out. Yesterday it was humid. We had the heavy rainfall at this time. This evening, a whole different story. As you can see, just a few fair weather clouds around, and that really sets up what is a dry stretch through Saturday, our next best chance for rain. The clouds are already starting to flatten. They will disappear as the sun angle gets lower. They melt away. The wind will calm down, and these temperatures will fall rather quickly. 70 in Frankfort and Anderson. Temperature in Marion right now, Grant County at 69. A little warmer to the south, but it never got warm anywhere today. 76 in Bedford. There's your breeze. At times a little more than a breeze. Kind of gusty, 10 to 20 miles per hour, but that calms down tonight. Through the evening hours, temperatures headed to the low 60s by 11 o'clock tonight, with skies becoming clear.
Experts are telling RTV6 COVID phobia might be keeping people with serious non-COVID-19 conditions away from emergency room. RTV6's Troy Washington is working for you to explain why doctors say it's important to push fear to the side and to come in for treatment.
There used to be a rush to get here to the emergency room, but now Dr. Ashley Meager thinks COVID-19 is making some afraid to come in to get help and relief from pain.
There has been an increased number of people avoiding the hospital, and to the point where they wait until they're so sick that it's really hard for us to take care of them.
Dr. Meager was just getting off from a 24-hour shift working as a trauma and acute care surgeon when we caught up with her.
Anytime a patient delays coming to the hospital for something that's an emergency, it puts them at a risk of a poor outcome. Don't delay coming to the hospital. If you need to come to the hospital, we're going to take care of you. We're going to keep you safe. And we are here for you. The emergency rooms are open. The surgeons are there.
She wants patients to know they are in good hands, and it's better to catch things early rather than later.
I woke up Wednesday morning and I was experiencing some pain on my lower right side of my abdomen. I've never had a problem with my appendix in the past. And I said, oh my goodness, I hope this is not my appendix.
Phyllis Schooler says she only waited a day before making arrangements to get checked out.
I did the virtual appointment and I was laying on my bed when I did it with my doctor, Dr. Amadoudan, and she was telling me where to press, and she could see with, from my laptop, and she was telling me she was thinking it was my appendix. And she asked me, will you please, is there someone that can take you, go to the nearest emergency room?
Do you worry about if you would have waited any longer? Because there are a lot of people who are waiting and things are getting so bad by the time that they go in, it's a worse situation.
I just thank God that I did not wait.
Dr. Meager says Schooler did the right thing, and she wouldn't advise anyone to put off that type of surgery because her appendix could have burst. In fact, this surgeon says it's better safe than sorry, and it's important to keep up with prescribed medication.
I know that the pharmacies such as CVS and Walgreens, many of them have drive-ups, and you can drive up and do a no-touch pickup of your medications. So really stay on top of refilling medications.
Working for you, Troy Washington, RTV6.
Well, according to Dr. Meager, patients who are more prone to developing bad COVID-19 symptoms due to pre-existing conditions should monitor themselves as closely as possible and make a point to see your doctor for checkups, even if the appointments are virtual.
Some schools in central Indiana have started to welcome back students in person, and this comeback has not been perfect. Several schools have experienced COVID-19 difficulties. RTV6's Stephanie Wade is speaking to administrators in one district, which had a COVID-19 case during their first day of class.
The very night after students' first day back here at school, the Greenfield Central superintendent emailed parents notifying them that a student did indeed come to school that day, later testing positive for the coronavirus.
That was a little alarming, a little disappointing. We put 3 months into planning for this.
That afternoon on day one, the Hancock County Health Department called Greenfield Central Schools to tell them that a student at the junior high had tested positive for the coronavirus.
The student had taken the test a few days before, came to school before they got the results. Upon finding that out, we pulled the student from a classroom, isolated that individual in the clinic.
From there, they identified through seating charts who was close to the student and notified those families to quarantine for 14 days.
COVID is going to spread, so we had to have protocols in place to make sure that we knew what we would do and to work with our principals and teachers to let them know how we would follow through with it, to let our community know that.
Greenfield, just one of the districts to have a positive COVID case within the first week. Some wishing for more guidance from the state as the Department of Education largely left their guidelines and recommendations up to the local health departments and school districts.
Everybody wants more support, but obviously we've got to figure out how to do that with the support that we have in place.
Dr. Harold Olin realizing
contact tracing requires a lot of time. Think about that from one case for a student that was with us for part of the day. Think about what that would look like on a day where you may have 2 or 3.
In this ever-changing environment, the threshold for them, he says,
it's not a number of cases specifically. If our attendance rate reaches an alarming rate, we can certainly consider moving everyone to a virtual environment. We will have conversation with the local health department if our attendance rate drops below 90%.
In Greenfield, Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
Join us Thursday night for an RTV6 special taking a look at how Hoosier kids are heading safely back to school. We are taking a look at remote learning, how lawmakers are working to keep schools accountable, and what you can expect if your child is returning to the classroom. That's Thursday at 7:30 p.m. right here on RTV6.
Remote learning is an adjustment for all parents and students, but it's a bigger challenge for families who speak English as a second language. 22% of Indianapolis public school students are English language learners, meaning English is not their first language. That's roughly 6,600 kids. RTV6's Cornelius Hawker explains how IPS plans to meet the need of all of their students.
I feel for the families who have only speaking Spanish household parents.
Carla Perez knows how hard it can be on some kids to try and continue speaking their first language at home while speaking English in school.
At home, I always got in trouble for speaking English. We were supposed to speak only Spanish.
Now that she's a mom, she understands how her parents felt, even though she's more prepared to help her kids than they were to help her.
I myself have a hard time helping my kids with the homework. Only for the fact that even though I speak English, I went to school, I graduated from college, they have changed things so much.
That's why she hopes someone with Indianapolis Public Schools is working on a way to help out families who speak English as a second language.
For our English language learners, there are still requirements that we have in terms of communication with them, assessments, support services that they get during class that we're still obligated to make sure we're meeting.
Superintendent Alicia Johnson is assuring parents they're doing everything they can to make sure all students have the best opportunity to learn, taking into account those who speak English as a second language.
Lessons learned in the spring that we can now apply to move forward in the fall.
As kids get ready to start school in 2 weeks, Carla has this message of encouragement for her community.
Mi gente latina de mi comunidad, quiero que ustedes no se sientan solos. Busquen en Facebook si me necesitan a mí. O sea, hay muchos programas afuera que pueden ayudar a usted y a su familia.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, RTV6.
IPS Superintendent Alicia Johnson says the district is in the process of developing programs to fill different needs of students like English language learners. Because this is such a huge task, they're open to community member suggestions and offers of help.
Still ahead on the news at 7, why the leader of a major disinfectant brand says empty spots on store shelves will continue into next year.
But first, millions of people along the East Coast are bracing for a tropical storm, while areas that have already dealt with Isaias are cleaning up from the damage.
This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
After making landfall in North Carolina, Isaias continues its path. The tropical storm is now rocketing up the northeast. And as Camilla Bernal explains, millions are under the tropical storm warnings tonight, including those in Washington, D.C., New York City, and Boston.
On the East Coast, Isaias had more than 100 million people under a tropical storm warning.
We hope for the best and prepare for the worst.
The storm is expected to bring strong wind gusts of more than 60 miles per hour for major northeast metro areas. Forecasted winds in New York City could be the strongest the city has seen since Superstorm Sandy in 2012.
Everyone take this very seriously. Between the rain, flooding potential, the winds, even again potential tornado, that's a lot.
Tornadoes are a huge concern. At least 20 were reported between North Carolina and New Jersey Tuesday morning.
It's nothing there. You can look across the field, you can actually see the frame of a mobile home across the field. Vehicles are turned over. Vehicles are piled up on top of each other. It's just very sad.
On Maryland's eastern shore, a suspected tornado caused widespread damage. Another touching down near Ocean City, New Jersey. And tornado warnings also issued for the Philadelphia and New York metro area.
That is such a rarity here in New York City. It may sound to some people like that's not something to worry about. It is something to worry about.
I'm Camila Bernal reporting.
And a look at this moment where Isaias is in the northeast, moving through Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. For us, all eyes on the thermometer. A very cool night ahead. I'll define very cool coming up.
Disinfectant wipes have been hard to find, and it will stay that way well into next year. That's according to Clorox, the world's biggest maker of disinfectant cleaning materials. Clorox said it aggressively ramped up production, but that still won't be enough to keep up with demand. The company's incoming CEO says with the ongoing pandemic on top of the upcoming cold and flu season, it will now take a year to reach the supply level necessary to meet customer needs. Kevin.
Temperatures are set to drop about 20 degrees from where we're at now. We've got a nice north breeze. The clouds will clear. Wind will calm down a little bit, and the humidity is pretty much out of here. Very enjoyable next 24 hours. 71 is the temperature in Indy. There are a few spots cooler. You can see those right here. Zionsville's at 68. Monticello, Lake Schaefer, Lake Freeman, 68, the current temperature there. I show you the radar just to point out some of the clouds that have been developing through the afternoon. Now the reverse happens. They fade away once we lose the afternoon heating and skies will be clear. From north to south, there's a look at the temperatures. Not too much of a temperature range, 5 degrees. Basically, all of us in the 70s. Richmond's one exception. There's the story of tomorrow morning. Your average low temperature is 65. Predicted low 52, and you see the record is right there. 1974, we dropped to 51. Maybe we get historical credit in the morning. 49 temperature expected up in Miami County first thing tomorrow, 50 in Lafayette, and then temperatures quickly go the other way. We'll jump about 25 degrees from morning low to afternoon high back into the 70s. Wednesday through Saturday, dry. The humidity comes back Saturday, but you really notice the humidity as we get to Sunday and early next week. That's also when our rain chances will come back up. Pretty steady climb. We'll be back in the upper 80s, so enjoy this stretch here over the next 3 days. Temperatures tomorrow with a mixture of clouds and sunshine. You'll wake up with lots of sunshine. The fair weather clouds develop as we warm up. Temperatures into the mid-70s in most locations. The wind will be lighter than what we had today, generally 5 to 10 miles per hour. Thursday, pretty much same situation. Afternoon clouds, temperatures a little warmer, closer to the 80-degree mark. Should hit 80 down in Columbus, Bedford, and Seymour. Friday, no doubt, all of central Indiana back into the 80s. 83 degrees, still not much humidity. Humidity shows up Saturday. Chance for thunderstorms returns Sunday. Warmest temperature in the forecast right now, 88 on Monday. But how about that transition? 52 tomorrow morning, Mark, but we'll be at 70 next Monday morning for an overnight low.
Quite the swing there. Summer's holding on, right? Well, as though it was meant to be, one local organization decided to expand its food pantry at just the right time, right before the stay-at-home order began earlier this year. Now a closer look at how the Brookside Community Development Corporation is able to meet the critical needs in our neighborhoods during the pandemic.
Through the United Way, we were able to do a number of different things, from prepared meal delivery, food pantry assistance, as well as financial assistance to individuals and families that have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. We knew, though, that we needed to respond to the changing circumstances, and the changing circumstances that were dictated by COVID-19 was a focus on basic needs.
It's been huge. If we weren't able to have those resources, we wouldn't be able to distribute food to our community and meet the needs of food insecurity. It's a big deal in our community in the Brookside neighborhood. We have seen lots of people. We have lots of singles. We have some homeless people. We have big families, small families, and so it's a vast majority of people who are all experiencing food insecurity, and we're able to alleviate that one burden for them.
There's a lot of people that doesn't have jobs. There's a lot of people that are down. Me, like I said, personally, I like it because it is close, and with you not having transportation, then you can get to it.
But we're trying to have healthy choices for them to be able to eat something, not just something that you just put together, so it's just there. So it's also a health conscious thing, since it's also the time when people are trying to eat much better. I like doing this because, number one, I love cooking. You know, number two is also because of the fact that people have helped me out. So why give that, pay that forward? And helping people out is what's needed in this world, because we're all that we have, you know. We're all against one enemy, and now with other things that are happening, if this isn't the time to come together, I don't know what it is.
Making the start of an intergenerational effort to connect more fully. Today we got a look at the new Minnie Hartman Neighborhood Child Care Facility. It is set to open this month after 8 vacant school classrooms were transformed into 10 early learning areas, plus some office space for Shepherd Community Center. The choice to convert these special spaces was intentional. The eventual goal with this center is to have interactions and activities between participating children and the senior adults who live at the Minnie Hartman Center.
Through innovative intergenerational programming, this incredible state-of-the-art facility will provide opportunities for our older generations to interact with our youngest generations, allowing them to connect, encourage, and to learn from one another.
It's the first intergenerational site of its kind in Indiana, following a national model. The United Way of Central Indiana made a huge investment that was matched by the city's Department of Metropolitan Development in order to fund this project. Kevin?
Always time to look at something beautiful. This was a rainbow, a double rainbow, after yesterday's thunderstorms. This evening, a little different story. No thunderstorms around. We're setting the stage for a cool morning tomorrow in the 50s. Amanda?
Thank you for making RTV6 your choice for news. Our next newscast is tonight at 11. We'll see you then.